What's going on, everybody? And I hope you're enjoying your Friday night so far. This is NYG Jeffy T85 here, and I'm going to talk about the New York Giants and the player that they got in the second round, who a lot of Giants fans, a lot of beat reporters said this kid was the best overall center coming out in the NFL. He was a senior, he was the most draft-ready prospect, and he somehow fell to the New York Giants in the second round, and I'm very happy about this pick. He wasn't my favorite center. He was not my favorite center, but it was a damn close one between this one and the other player, Luke Weipler. And that, of course, the Giants select John Michael Schmitz out of Minnesota, and who's going to be the center on this football team now. 6'4", 301 pounds, 32.58 arms length, 9.5 hands, and this dude is mean, he's nasty, he's a growth grader, he is a physical specimen at the center position, and the Giants get themselves a big-time center in the middle of the offensive line. One of the things that the Giants, all us Giants fans, content creators, everybody was saying the Giants badly needed the center, and exactly that's what they got. He somehow fell all the way down to pick number 57, and the Giants snatched him up immediately, and you could plug him in right there at the center position. You can understand why I'm very happy about this pick. I thought the Giants hit two absolute home runs in the first and in the second round. I do. I love Deonte Banks picking him in the first round, and I'm very happy with the Giants selecting John Michael Schmitz in the second round. And like I made in my video earlier, I'm not as high on Jalen Hyatt, but I think that the pick overall was good value for where you got it. The fact he dropped to the third round. But John Michael Schmitz, this is exactly what this New York Football Giants offense needed. They needed to get an offensive lineman that was nasty, that was mean, that could push up the middle, that could be that guy in the middle that no matter what it is, when he's on that football field, you have nothing to worry about. This dude is exactly what this team needed. And now you're seeing the offensive line slowly be put together. You got Andrew Thomas, who is a second-team All-Pro at left tackle, and you could argue at only 23 years old, Andrew Thomas is one of, if not the best left tackle in the NFL right now. You could argue he's one of, if not the best at left tackle in the NFL. That's what the Giants have right now at that left tackle position. And then you get yourself Evan Neal, who you drafted at pick number 7 last year in the NFL draft. He had a rough year overall, but this dude has still a lot of potential to be the long-term answer at the right tackle position. And now you get yourself your center, who is 24 years old. He's a veteran, so you don't have to worry about him going through any rough seasons. You bring him in there, you plug him in immediately as your center, and now you got right tackle with Evan Neal, center with John Michael Schmitz, and left tackle with Andrew Thomas. You have those three young players you can build this team around, and then you look at the guard position. You got Mark Lewinsky at left guard or right guard right now. You also have Ben Bredesen. You got Shane Lemieux on the roster. You brought back Jack Anderson. You bring in J.C. Hausenauer, who's now going to be the backup on the team. And then you got young players like a Joshua Ezeudu and Markus McKethan, whom the Giants are very high on at those guard positions, that you could plug in on either side, or you could have them be good depth on the offensive line. You also have Tyree Phillips, and you have Matt Peart at the tackle positions overall for the New York Giants, and you also have Roy Mbatika as well. But I'm very happy with this pick. I'm very, very, very happy about this pick. I am. We all have seen what the Giants have gone through at the center position. We have seen the disaster at the center position for this team. With Mark Skura, with Billy Price, John Feliciano, Nick Gates, who was serviceable. You had all these, Billy Price. You have had a turnstile of centers come into this organization year after year after year after year. And now you're seeing a culture and an establishment being built right now on this offensive line. Like I mentioned, you have a second-team All-Pro at left tackle in Andrew Thomas, one of the top left tackles in football. You have Evan Neal, who struggled last year, but he has all the capabilities of being a very good right tackle. And now you arguably get the best center in the NFL draft in John Michael Schmitz, who is going to be anchoring the middle of your line. And then you could trickle in whoever you want at guard, whether it's Ben Bredesen, whether it's Joshua Ezeudu, whether it's Markus McKethan, whether it's Jack Anderson, whether it's I think Mark Lewinsky is probably going to be the starting right guard, I believe, because I think now that you have John Michael Schmitz and you have Evan Neal, you're probably going to want a veteran in there at the guard position. You're not going to want to have all young players because it could cause a little bit of confusion if you have a lot of young talent on that roster starting. So I could see, right now, if I had to say, right now my early, pick for the Giants offensive line right now, I'd probably say Andrew Thomas at left tackle, Ben Bredesen at left guard, John Michael Schmitz at center, Mark Lewinsky at right guard, and Evan Neal at my right tackle. That's what I think the Giants are going to go with in terms of their offensive line. But I could see, potentially, Joshua Ezeudu take over at the left guard position if Ben Bredesen struggles or gets hurt. Excuse me. Or if Markus McKethan impresses enough, I could see him taking snaps away from Mark Lewinsky at right guard. I could see that. A lot is going to depend on how these guys perform when we get to training camp. But you have a lot of depth on the offensive line now. And I'm not even including what the Giants could do when we get into the fourth round. I'm sorry, we don't have a fourth round pick, so when we get into the fifth round, when we get into the sixth round, and we have 2 picks in the seventh round. So the Giants still have 4 picks overall left, and you're including undrafted free agency, where the Giants are probably going to bring in some more quality players. They're going to fight to see if they can make this roster and see if they can be able to go out there and perform at a high level and show out for this New York Giants team. So I am absolutely over the moon with this pick right now for the New York Giants. I am. I'm very happy with the Giants going out there and getting a good quality center in John Michael Schmitz that could anchor the middle of this offensive line. I mean, if you really think about it, the Giants have not had a center at the level of John Michael Schmitz since we had Sean O'Hara. Sean O'Hara was probably the last good center the New York Giants have had, and that was all the way back in 2008, 2009 during our last Super Bowl team. Otherwise that, we have not had a solid center ever since. I mean, you've had the likes of Weston Richburg, who I thought was a good player when we drafted him out of Colorado State, but the problem with him is he got hurt all the time, and that really impacted him, and that's why we let him go in free agency a few years later. You had Billy Price, you had Mark Skura, you had John Feliciano, you had, all these guys that have come in that have not been able to get the job done at that center position. And now you're bringing in a stud center who is not young. He is a developed, older player at 24 years old that's going to be able to go in there immediately and be your starting center. I'm really, really happy about this pick. I could say right now that I thought, in my opinion, some people aren't high on the Deonte Banks pick. I think the Giants hit a home run in the first 2 rounds. Now, we have to go see these guys get on the field and play, but in my opinion, I thought the Giants hit an absolute home run with their second-round pick and their first-round pick, and I think Jalen Hyatt is a very good value pick in the 3rd round, even though I'm not as big on him. I think it's an excellent value pick in the 3rd round. So I think the Giants so far, on paper, remember, on paper, these guys got to go do it on the field. On paper, I believe the Giants have made 3 very good picks on this team, and you're just adding 3 of the biggest holes on this team this offseason was cornerback, wide receiver, and offensive line interior. And what did the Giants do so far? You added a ton of wide receivers in free agency, and then you add Jalen Hyatt. Then, Also, you have the fact that you added Leonard Johnson, you added Amani Owarie, you still have good young cornerbacks on the roster, and now you take up Deonte Banks at the cornerback position. And at the same time, then you look at the offensive line. You have some good quality depth there, and now you get John Michael Schmitz. Very happy with the picks. But we'll have to wait and see what's going to happen when we get to training camp. So hit that like button if you haven't already, and give a sub to NYGJeffyT85. More news updates and chatter surrounding the New York Giants. Turn on the bell for notifications of the next video or short dropping on the channel surrounding the New York Giants. And you guys let me know in the comment section what you think about the New York Giants selecting interior offensive lineman, aka your center, John Michael Schmitz, at pick number 57, who is going to anchor the middle of this offensive line for what we all expect and hope for the next 5 to 10 years. Thank you very much, everybody. Enjoy the rest of your Friday. Take it easy, and let's go New York Football Giants. As always, together blue, everyone.